lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí ẹ má bínú sí wa a ò rí fídíò yẹn ṣe ní slanting mode ní landscape mode nítorí pé ibi tó wà bí ta wà yìí dangerous gan débi pé wọ́n mú press wọ́n harass ẹ̀ wọ́n subject ẹ̀ into harassment they subjected him to harassment wọ́n harass wọ́n press wọ́n à lè ṣe fídíò yẹn àti so ṣùgbọ́n adúpẹ́ pé sí nǹkan tó ṣàwà sí nǹkan kan àwọn ọlọ́pàá wò ṣùgbọ́n ìyẹn ti bínú lọ́ntì rẹ̀ so bákan náà sì ni a ti sọ fún yín lẹ́ẹ̀kan pé a ti lọ bọ́lọ́pàá lẹ́ẹ̀kan a ti lọ bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ pé press ni wá wọ́n sì jọ pé ó kèkè sí wàhálà ẹ máa gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu lọ́yà sí i. Free talo long now. Free talo long now. Ẹ gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu lọ́yà rẹ̀ sí i.
I try to understand. You say pé bóyá ẹ̀rù ń ba everybody kan lọ́yà tó wá tó bá a sọ̀rọ̀ ó ní àwọn bó ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ fún wa ó dẹ̀ ní àwọn nǹkan tí ń ṣe tí o gbogbo tẹ́lẹ̀ update wa yìí.
lọ́yà ni just a brief. Mo máa just a brief. Èmi ò lọ into lọ́yà. So at the end of the day our lawyer lead counsel had to move the motion. Before they move, we want to go ahead with the preliminary objection. Láti sọ fún wọn pé ilé ẹjọ́ yóò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́, and he moved the motion, and the other counsel òun náà respond. So after responding, the court said because of strike tó máa come up, they won't be able to give us another date within this week because somebody warning strike tó ń bọ̀ ní they only affect the Wednesday, Thursday, and so they now adjourn to Monday. Again. For ruling, that is September 11th, for ruling of the court. So Toba make a ruling one, it is either yes, the court has jurisdiction, or the court has no jurisdiction. If the court has no jurisdiction, then the court cannot entertain the matter. If the court has jurisdiction, bail application will be presented and
no
tí o bá ti sí strike tán ló fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ strike wọn ló fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́la tí o bá ti sí strike yẹn court á sí.
tó bá wà ẹjọ́ káyé kò mọ̀ ká lè mọ nǹkan tá máa ṣe
then ẹjọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó ń ṣe meeting pẹ̀lú commissioner tájọ ṣe meeting pẹ̀lú commissioner níjọ́ yẹn gbogbo àwọn tó wà ń bẹ̀ mo need the address wọn gbogbo àwọn tájọ ṣe meeting. Máa send the details orúkọ yẹn wọ́n àpẹẹrẹ ní kọ́kọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó wà ní Ìlọrin so that gbogbo wọn yẹn because of case fundamental human rights àwọn oníkèké bíbá I need the details wọn bí 80 something kìíní la yẹn orúkọ ta list màá ṣe photocopy kan màá fún àwọn oníkèké àwọn tó wà lọ́dọ̀ wọn á gbà àwọn tó wà lọ́dọ̀ bàbá àwọn máa ṣe photocopy yọ kan àwọn so máa ṣe bí photocopy márùn-ún ṣáà 070.
So let's go here. Wọ́n ti adjourn case yẹn sí September 11. Ṣùgbọ́n there is another case tomorrow because case méjì ni. The other case tomorrow àwọn kan náà ti sì dé. The other case tomorrow yẹ wọ́n ní pé bẹ́ẹ̀ni. The other case tomorrow wọ́n ní pé tí strike bá go on kò ní sit so wọ́n máa pick a new date fún ìyẹn lọ́tọ̀. Wọ́n máa pick ẹni pé ẹ̀sìn àlàáfíà lọ ṣé ẹ̀sìn àlàáfíà lè báyìí ẹ̀ ṣáà lè bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹni pé sàlàfíà ní báyìí ẹni pé sàlàfíà ní báyìí ẹ ṣáà ní pé sàlàfíà ní ẹ ṣáà ní ẹ̀sìn àlàáfíà lẹ̀ ń wò yẹn o ẹ ṣe ń wò yẹn àbẹ́ẹ̀rí ẹ̀sìn àlàáfíà lọ pé o ẹni pé sì tún tẹ̀lé wa ẹ ṣáà rí àwọn bàbá yẹn àwọn bàbá límì yẹn ẹ ṣáà rí wọn ẹ ṣáà rí àwọn bàbá wọn yẹn wọ́n sì pè lẹ́sìn àlàáfíà àwọn náà lẹ́sìn irú ẹ̀rí wọn ẹ̀rí wọ́n ṣépè fúnra wọn ẹ̀rí àwọn bàbá ẹ̀rí wọ́n ṣépè fúnra wọn ẹ̀rí wọ́n ṣépè fúnra wọn ẹ̀rí wọ́n ṣépè fúnra wọn iṣẹ́ àti rí wọn iṣẹ́ àti rí wọn iṣẹ́ àti rí wọn wọ́n sì tún tẹ̀lé wa iṣẹ́ àti rí so àwa bẹ̀rù àwa máa ṣe láìpẹ́ yẹn báyìí sí so àwa ní stop ẹ̀ for now láti kúrò bíi ẹ̀ ń kọ́ ṣà ń tẹ̀lé wa lọ pẹ̀lú bó ti ṣe ní kọ́ gbàbẹ̀ tó káwa gbà bíi wọ́n ti ní káwa gbàgbé káwọn gbàgbé yẹ ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n sì tún tẹ̀lé wa wọ́n dẹ̀ ń bú wa wọ́n ṣépè fún wa ẹni bá wùwà ìpè lè pé ó mú ẹni bá wùwà ìpè lè pé ó mú sáàrí wọn báwọn ó dàbọ̀ so àwọn èèyàn wa tó sì tún bọ̀ wọ́n máa débì ṣùgbọ́n tó bá pọ̀ pé kóòtù máa sì tì lọ́la a máa tún wábì náà. Má sọ̀rọ̀ náà orí ìjà ẹ̀. Má sọ̀rọ̀ o. Gbogbo bí tẹ̀ ń wé lọ kó bẹ́ǹchì sí láàárọ̀ ẹ̀ gbogbo bí tẹ̀ ń wé wọ́n kó bẹ́ǹchì síbẹ̀ àwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn láti dájí òní ni wọ́n ti blọ́ọ̀kì gbogbo bí tẹ̀ ń wé lónìí wọ́n blọ́ọ̀kì ẹ̀ gidi nítorí èèyàn yẹn kan péré wọ́n blọ́ọ̀kì gbogbo bí ìlú àwọn láwọn ọlọ́pàá wọn yẹn wọ́n blọ́ọ̀kì ẹ̀ bí yẹ̀ ìyá ẹ̀ ẹ̀yẹ bá sọ orúkọ yín fún wa sà.
Orúkọ mi ni Balógun.
Ẹ bá tí lọ́jọ́ bá tí ẹ lọ́jọ́.
Ẹ fi ilẹ̀ o.
Ó yẹ máa bá tí ẹ lọ bá lọ jẹ gbà.
Orúkọ mi ni Balógun láti ìlú Ìṣẹ́yìn.
Ok, ǹjẹ́ ẹ lè sọ ohun tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú ìlú òní fún wa ní ṣókí?
Ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ni pé gbọ́dọ̀ gbé ọmọ wa dé wọ́n gbé wọ court ní opportunity láti rí gbogbo wa dúró ń ta àwọn muslim yẹn bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbé wa ṣépè wọ́n máa ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa a máa kú lọ́nà oríṣiríṣi nǹkan a mọ̀ pé Elédùmarè tó ń wá débi a mú wa padà láyọ̀ àti àlàáfíà a bá wọn jà wọn náà ń pariwo lé wa lórí fún wọn ní wàhálà.
A gbọ́ ní pé wọ́n náà ń dá àwọn èèyàn wa kan padà tó fẹ́ wọ̀ lù lọ́rin kí ni kílẹ̀ rí sọ sórí ẹ̀.
wọ́n dá àwọn èèyàn wa padà èmi gan fúnra mi wọ́n dá mi padà.
Tiwálé wá rí sí tí wọ́n ní ọ̀nà nǹkan lára pírẹ́sì wa kan tó jáde síbẹ̀ ní ẹ̀kan wọ́n ní ọ̀nà pa àwọn ọlọ́pàá sí ìwò kí ló tẹ́ rí sọ sí.
Wọ́n ní wọ́n nà ọ̀bẹ̀ káwa tó débẹ̀ wọ́n sì ọlọ́pàá ti sẹ́tù mọ́tà yẹn adúpẹ́ fọlọ́n àwọn òun ṣe oníwàhálà ẹ̀bẹ̀ sùúrù náà ni a ṣe gbogbo báyẹn ń bú wa wọ́n ṣe oríṣiríṣi sùúrù òun la ṣe.
Àwọn kan olókùn tó fi wá wí náà.
Kò sí ọkọ̀ fún wa wí o, àmọ́ torí ọmọlúwàbí tá a jẹ́ ọmọlúwàbí tí a jẹ́ tá a sì mọ̀ pé
sùúrù ni. Sùúrù náà ni àwa ṣe gbogbo bó ṣe ń bú wa tán sóríṣiríṣi àbẹ́ níbọ̀dì jà torí pé onísùúrù ni Ifá ò kì í ṣe wàhálà Elédùmarè rẹ̀ kì í ṣe wàhálà.
Kí wàá ní ohun tẹ wá ní sọ sí kílẹ̀ rí sọ sí kílẹ̀ oúnjẹ sọ sí gómìnà ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ lórí wáyà yìí.
À ń bẹ̀ yín kẹ́ ẹ ṣíjú àánú ọmọ yìí kẹ́ ẹ bá wa dáríjì kẹ́ ẹ bá wa fi ilẹ̀ ẹ̀rí pọ́n lé wa pẹ̀lú ọ̀kadà wọ́n ń tẹ̀lé wa kiri.
Láàrin sáré bọ́yé ń fọkadà lé wa.
Wọ́n náà máa nà wá lóògùn wọ́n máa ṣe oríṣiríṣi.
Oògùn ọ̀hún sì ní
bó ló ti wá. Rí nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe aṣáà sì ń fi premises court yẹn yà sí ilẹ̀ ilé wa báyìí kò jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
So ẹ ṣe gan ẹ bá a sọ pé kí ni update tí bàbá wa ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan tí lọ́ọ̀yà kan sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan.
Wọ́n ní kóòtù ṣì wà lọ́la wọ́n máa gbé wá lọ́la tí ò bá sí holiday But tí holiday bá wà, that means pé máa di next week.
Holiday wo nìyẹn ṣé?
Wọ́n kàn sọ pé holiday bóyá kóòtù wọn fẹ́ ní holiday àwọn àmọ́ bóyá wọ́n dẹ̀ fẹ́ ní holiday ní strike.
Ok, àwọn strike yẹn lè
fún bíbá. So kọ́lọ́run má jọ orí bẹ́ẹ̀, kọ́lọ́run jẹ́ kí wọ́n rí bí wa lọ́la.
Ìgbàgbọ́ kó wọ́n náà fi àjọ́nù títí tòní ìsìn on the 11. Wọ́n fẹ́ fi ṣe kí ni?
Ọ̀la náà. Àwọn náà àjọ ẹ̀ Sunday 11 bẹ̀ tí wọ́n lá. So àwọn ọmọ kan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀.
Àmín àṣẹ.
Àṣẹ gbogbo àwọn táwa àdélébáre.
Àṣẹ.
Àfọ̀yà ibi. Ìdààmú kéré tóbi kò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkan kan ní
àṣẹ.
Lọ́la pé tí ìlú wa là ń ṣe, orílẹ̀-èdè wa là ń ṣe, à ń ṣe òyìnbó, à ń ṣe aláwọ̀ funfun, aláwọ̀ dúdú ni wá. Torí ẹ̀ la fi ń ṣe nǹkan tá à ń ṣe yìí. Elédùmarè adé ti wà lẹ́yìn.
Àṣẹ.
Àti gbogbo ojú tó ń wò mí àti gbogbo ojú tó ń gbọ́ mi. Ìdààmú ò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkan kan ní gbogbo wa. Kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ kó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
Thank you very much. So KOIKIMEDIA bring you the word closer to just there. Bí a ẹgbọ́n náà lẹ́nu ìyá wa bàbá wa náà. Ṣe gan. KOIKIMEDIA bring you the word closer to just there. So àti a fẹ́ leave by, a fẹ́ kúrò ní bye. Because àwọn náà fẹ́ kúrò bí kábà kúrò bí. So we are going now. We are moving together actually. We are already moving together. So we are going in convoy. We are going in convoy because we don't want problem. So thank you very much. KOIKIMEDIA bring. Ẹ má bínú sáwọn ọlọ́pàá yẹn o. Ọ̀tọ̀ ẹ̀ ó dàtọ̀ fún wọn ni. Ó dàtọ̀ fún wọn ni. Gbogbo ibi tẹ́ ń wé ẹ lọ fi kíní block pátápátá láàárọ̀ ẹ̀. Ó dàtọ̀ fún wọn ni. A lè blame wọn ṣùgbọ́n àwọn kan apply sense sí wọn because apadà wọlé bọ̀ kì í ṣe inú court la wọ̀ wọ́n já wọnú court àtọ̀ nobody tó wọ court nobody kó wọnú gate court ṣùgbọ́n gbogbo ọ̀nà ó jẹ́ ká express lọ ní ká dúró sẹ́tẹ̀lẹ̀ express rẹ̀ dẹ̀ wò yìí express nígbà ni wọ́n dà wá sí gbogbo ìgbà lọ block wọ́n ní ká wà express so meanwhile àwọn muslim yẹn wọlé sínú court premises nítorí pàwọn náà ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wàá jẹ́ ká pèyẹ́ ń sìn so wọ́n ní kó dàtọ̀ fún àwọn nìyẹn àwọn ló wá bí ibi tí wọ́n ti táwọn muslim yẹn ti ràgàbo nǹkan lára wa tó jẹ́ press tí wọ́n sì nà òun ló fà á nìyẹn so wọ́n tó kọ́ lé àwọn kan padà àwọn ṣẹṣẹ gbogbo wa wọ́n ti lé àwọn kan padà òun lè rí ẹ̀ nígbà lẹ́yìn jù báyìí lọ́ má bínú so Elédùmarè àbùkù fún wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí KOIKIMEDIA bring the world closer to your doorstep. Ẹ má bínú sí wa ní pé fídíò wa rí báyìí lónìí ẹ má bínú sí wa iná mọ̀ pà kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n ibi tí bí kìíní ẹ̀ ṣe rí bó ṣe rí a ní láti máa tẹnumọ́ torí àwọn tó ṣe ń join so ẹ má bínú sí wa nítorí bí kìíní ẹ̀ ṣe rí lónìí òun ló fà á ìmọ̀ tó bá máa di ọ̀la a máa change àwọn ọmọ kọ̀ọ̀tà máa ṣe fún so ẹ ṣé gan. Thank you very much. KOIKIMEDIA bring the world closer to your doorstep. Reporting live from Ilorin, Kwara State. Free TANI OLOHUN now. Today is 4th of September 2023. Thank you very much. Gbogbo àgbè wa kò ní gbé ọ̀dàlẹ̀ o. Ẹ̀yẹ ọba wa gbogbo yìí ẹ̀yẹ gómìnà wa ẹ dìde o. Ẹ̀yẹ ẹ̀yìn èèyàn wa ẹ dìde o. Ẹ dìde o. Ọmọ wa kọ́ ṣoṣo. Òun ni wọ́n na bí pé tọ́kúra wọn jọ pọ̀. In fact, ọmọ sàn kàn mí. So ẹ̀ níbi jù báyìí lọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí. Ṣé.
Move on to the president departing Nigeria for the G20 summit in India. Now, the G20 said Nigeria is not a member of the G20 while they decide to do so. So why is the president there? I know for sure it could have been that he's been invited there, or is it that he doesn't want to know what is going to happen to the verdict? So let me go away, and then whatever happens, then I will come back to it. Yomi.
Well, the G20 summit 2023 is all taking place in India, and it's going to be happening from the very time that there is a lot happening around the world. In Delhi, there's a lot of different countries, but it seems that the premier of China is not going to be coming. I'm not too sure why, whether the outcome of the BRICS is still playing out the dollarization. But the concern to us is that the president of the most populous black nation would also be traveling. This will be one of his, apart from the event that has taken place within ECOWAS. We saw Nigeria participation at the BRICS in South Africa. But again, Shetima, the vice president, told us they are still reviewing whether it is appropriate for Nigeria to join the membership of BRICS. Again, Nigeria as well is not yet a member of the G20. But from the information, it seems that as Bola Tinubu, the president, is heading off to that big event, these are going to be part of what we're expecting. Bola Tinubu, the president, the ministers, industrialists have now departed for the G Summit today as with a massive and strategic investment drive in the focus. The President Bola Tinubu has departed Abuja in company with some ministers, industrialists to attend the G20 Summit in New Delhi in India on a special invitation of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The President has also continued to consult widely on the benefit and the risk of joining the global economic power bloc. I come back again to you in the studio. What do we need in terms of, right now? We need investors to come into the country so that we can stabilize the economy, so that Nigerians can have jobs and there can be a better future for many Nigerians. The question this morning is, will the president be able to go with the old bloc, which is the West? Because I was looking at the data yesterday, US and UK being the biggest bloc when it comes to investment in Nigeria. Is the Nigerian government going to change into the new bloc, which is the new bloc out there, or do we remain with the old bloc? But the old bloc are not giving us enough investment, even though the UK has the highest investment in Nigeria and America. But that investment is not yet enough for the 206 million Nigerians today. Will India and Brazil and the other countries be what the president might decide for? We will have to wait and see. But according to the spokesperson of the president, Ajuri Ingalis, those accompanying the president on this trip are 4 members of the cabinet, Minister of the Foreign Affairs Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, his finance counterpart Wali Edun. I'm going to be talking about him later on because he said only Jonathan stabilized the government while he was in power. Also, I saw Lai Mohammed at the party yesterday, but it seems that Lai Mohammed is not going with the president because we now have a Minister of Communication and Innovation and Digital Economy, Dr. Bosun Tijani, and the most important is Ministry and Trade Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka. These are the new ministers traveling with the president on a very first official just before the United Nations General Assembly that is coming up as well this month.
Well, listeners, Star Radio UK. Now, interestingly, I do ask the question that the colonial masters, we're talking about the UK having the biggest investment in Nigeria, and I ask myself the question, what percentage or how much is Nigeria actually benefiting from that investment? Is it that they are benefiting more than we are doing? We see the case in these French countries, the French-speaking countries, the former French colonies. We see it in Niger, we see it in Mali, we see it in Burkina Faso, where there've been this insurgency and everything, so insecurity, and we had the French forces there who are supposed to be fighting, giving them the security that they need to go about all this. Now, they didn't do enough. And that's why the military took over, thinking that they have to do something by themselves. Okay? Now, so the question is, like you were asking, whether we stay with the old block or we go with the new block. Somebody will say, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't know. But it is about time that Africans, we start thinking and shifting our minds so we can now trade amongst ourselves, because just amongst ourselves, can you just imagine what we can do? Can you just imagine what we can do? Because Nigeria can what Nigeria's refinery can do much for Africa, even if not West Africa. A lot for us, the gas that we have and everything. But you know, the old bloc will just try to divide us amongst ourselves, and therefore we don't see eye to eye. So how can we come together and make something good out of ourselves? But let's see. You can post your comments on our page, and then we will see what you think about that as well. But good luck. Jonathan Regine was last to stabilize the economy. Wale Edun, who you say is a minister who is en route with the president to the G20 summit. Now, so does he want to say that, well, Buhari didn't do much at all when it came to the economy? Yomi.
Again, you know, as this government, you know, is trying not to put Buhari into a situation room, but again, they just have to keep coming out to tell us that, you know, whatever we've seen that is making Nigeria backwards today is got to do with the previous government. Olawale Edun, the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy, has asserted that the Nigerian economy last appeared stable about a decade ago, during the former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's tenure. So that literally says exactly what we have said, that the former President Muhammadu Buhari actually destroyed the economy of Nigeria faster than the 16 years of the PDP. The Naira went into comatose. Nigerians are out there with no jobs. There's more Nigerians that are now afraid because of the insecurity that the president could not fix, even though as a former, you know, military dictator. At his first press conference as the finance minister on Friday, before he's traveling with the president today, Mr. Wale Edun stated that the foreign exchange rate was very constant, as where the interest rate between 2013 and 2014. As at this morning, many Nigerians do not need a dollar, but the importation of what comes into the country is less than what we are exporting. I was looking at, again, the report. 22 billion is what we export out of Nigeria. But the question is, where is the export actually going? It's only going within Africa. And that is not enough for a country worth about, you know, a population of about 200 million. And I've talked about the dollar. The dollar, as at now, is going up to 1,000 naira. According to Wale Edun, the country had enough foreign exchange at the time. Why does Nigeria doesn't have a foreign exchange today? We are not producing anything, not even a toothpick. And that literally means that we have to import more into the country. And when you go back and look at the, you know, some of the record from the OECD, you know, which are, you know, we have continued to review from 2021, you will realize that the importation of goods into Nigeria is vast more than the exportation of what we are meant to produce. And if Nigeria is not producing enough, that literally means that we don't have the enough dollar to be able to sustain. Let me give you the historical data from the OEC. In 2021, our export was 57.7 billion. Destination, and the question is, why do we have more export as against more when it comes to the import? The importation is $61 billion in total. I'm talking about in total in Nigeria. I was looking again at the refinery that is now expected to come into production in December, according to the president. You know, is this going to likely reduce also our forex, even though we were told lies again by Lai Mohammed and the former President Muhammadu Buhari that the Dangote refinery is fully now going to be in operation. It was commissioned, but we now know that that is not going to come into the stream until 2025. As of today, Wale Edun hasn't mentioned Buhari, but indirectly is passing the message again that the last time Nigeria ever saw a stable forex was during Jonathan. And that shows that the previous government failed to stabilize the Nigerian economy. Star Radio UK the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Listening to Star Radio UK, Mr. Olaimi Koikine on Off-London Studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios, and you are there listening to us. Share your take with us on issues that we are looking at. But, Yomi, so during Jonathan's time, were the refineries working?
Well, the refineries were not literally working because we were still bringing in as many of our, crude oil refined back into the country. But how Jonathan was able to stabilize it as at the time is a little bit different from what Buhari wanted to do. Buhari knew what he wanted to do, but he couldn't get it right. And that threw the country into the bad image that even as a citizen of the country today, between the federal government and the Emirates airline, they are struggling to take back as many of their revenue from the sales of tickets from Nigeria because the government do not have enough dollar to share between those that are asking back for their revenue. And it seems that the diaspora fund is not coming as much because remember that we talked about this a few weeks back that the government is not concerned that the dollar and the diaspora funding coming into the country is not coming through the proper channel anymore. So they are not able to capture those dollars and then use that as a leverage. If we think back to the last time when the economy was stable, when it was growing, when inflation was low and the interest rate was affordable, that period was a decade ago. Growth was about 6% in 2013, 2014, said Mr. Edo. It also stated that at the time, Nigeria earned $80 billion per annum in its coffer compared to the figure right now, which is 25 billion. So we have lost about almost 50 billion in revenue coming into the country. Nigeria and the government earn into this coffer 80 billion per annum compared to what is now earning. Yes, we know with the COVID, with the cost of the crude oil as all that, but again, Nigeria is not meeting its target when it comes to OPEC. And the reason for that again is lack of that discipline to make sure that whatever is coming out is not again being sold to other players. As we saw that Bola Tinubu said, we cannot continue to fund these petrol subsidy because whatever I'm funding is not for the consumption of Nigerians, but for the consumption of Niger and other countries bordering Nigeria.
Well, listen, posterity will be the judge of all this because we give Bola Tinubu if the tribunal rules in his favor and he's going to be there, let's see, maybe in a year or two's time we'll see whether he's been able to stabilize whatever is happening. But in defense of Buhari as well, we have Garba Shehu who has come to say that Buhari was one of the, he was one who fought graft, so he was an anti-graft campaigner. But I asked the question this morning that how many people was he able to retrieve funds from? People who have siphoned money from states or have corrupted themselves. How many? We have Minor who up to now, I don't know what happened to Minor as to whether the monies that he is said to have stolen has been gotten back, or his property have been sold to defray whatever debt that he's in. So there are lots of questions. What did Buhari actually do as an anti-graft agent or campaigner, Yomi?
Well, it seems that Garba Shehu is just trying to again play the devil advocate. He knows exactly that his government that he was part of destroy, the economy of Nigeria. But as Buhari was one of his pay master, so he still have to defend, the former president as against, whatever is going to come on him. So what do we know and what is the headline? President Buhari saved Nigeria from graft, says Garba Shehu. We know that Garba Shehu was the senior media for Buhari in a pushback to the position of the former Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Mohammed Adoke. Former President Muhammadu Buhari said his administration saved Nigeria from corrupt undertone planted to expose the nation's economy to collapse. You talked about Minor. You talked about, the former Minister of Aviation that hired an Ethiopian airline, branded it with the Nigerian air, and all that was a fraud. But that is not just the only fraud that took place under, Buhari. There were so many other atrocities of fraud. There were also so many other allegations against the government funding terrorism, and yet it seems that many of such have been denied. But according to him, President Buhari administration inherited the contract and incidental judgment of the PID, adding that the case identified by the former Minister of Justice, Adoka, originated from an administration that the former Attorney General was also part of. So it seems that there's a throwback, and they say that sometimes when you throw the stone, you might likely to break somebody's glass. So it seems that Shehu Gaba is reminding the former Minister of Justice that you were part of that corruption as well, and maybe you should look into your own cupboard than talk about my own boss, which is Buhari.
Well, so what are we going to say about Buhari? Did he do well? Was he a good anti-graft campaigner? Or did he save Nigeria from total collapse? So maybe the enemies were so strong that he couldn't do whatever he wanted to do, as maybe he did as a military leader. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, listen, I start Radio UK. But someone was asking a question. Now, we have the president going to this G20 summit to woo in more investment into the country. And somebody will say, how can somebody come to invest in the country where security is still not assured?
Well, I think that has always been, the work of the president to see what he can do. We saw that when the president came on board, he actually brought in some new faces as from the one that President Buhari, the former president, had in charge. So security is the key backbone of any economy. If you don't have the security, not just security, you must also have the electricity, as Nigerian plans prepaid meter upgrade allies electricity consumer affairs. These two works hand in hand, and you're quite right. Investors are not just only looking at that; they will also be following, the judiciary, because the next headline says the FCT judges have now accused Chief Justice of stealing multi-billion naira allowances, leaving them vulnerable to bribe traffickers. In a discreet interview conducted over 7 weeks, 5 judges in a rare move supply newsroom with unspeakable humiliation they endure under Hussein Baba Yusuf. The High Court of the Federal Court of Capital Territory has been embroidered in crisis of corruption. Investors do not like a corrupt country, and if they're going to love a corrupt country, that investor would also be part of that corruption that has led, to multiple multi-agency in Nigeria. Multinational agencies have used Nigeria as part of their corruption, and we've seen cases outside Nigeria that they are now being dragged as well.
Well, listeners, it's Star Radio UK. Adebanjo Sunday says, good morning, everyone in the house. Hashtag free. Hashtag TANI OLOHUN now. Who is TANI OLOHUN and what has happened to him? Okay. It is Star Radio UK. We'll go back to Yomi for the rest of the story that's making the round this morning at 11:39. Yomi, over to you.
Yes, TANI OLOHUN is same as any other individual citizen that wanted to have his own views heard, but it seems that his views has contradicted some other views from the Islamic side of Nigeria. Remember, he was kidnapped from Ibadan. There was a court case today in ILORIN where our reporter are currently on the ground. There was quite a lot of tension, with this particular case. And following that development, before we joined the Star Radio UK, with our reporter on the ground, let's say that it seems that again, part of the constitution has not worked in Nigeria, where some parts are using, a particular state to suppress the other as well. So, we are following that development. I'll be giving more updates as well. But again, there's been that hashtag free TANI OLOHUN. So let's come back again to some of the other news that is happening in Nigeria at 11:40. Ogun State local government chairman celebrate letterhead redesign purchases of official phone as achievement. Joseph Badejo, the Ijebu North East local government chairman in Ogun State, has listed among other things the redesign of the council's letterhead and also the purchase of an official phone as his own achievement. Joseph Badejo, the Ijebu North East local government, said this while you wonder what kind of development is that going to bring. They include the purchase of computer, painting of the council secretariat, conference hall table and chairs, electricity pole, the repair of a pumping machine. Others were part of a Nissan car to collect revenue, sinking a borehole, distributing sport equipment to the schools and grading the roads as well. Remember that we talked about Ogun State last week, where the governor has become the emperor, where you have to kneel down, you have to beg him so that you can be able to have your way in the state. Let's go back to one or two more before we end into the social media again this morning. Like I said earlier, it seems that Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the Lagos State governor, is now on the ride of the Blue Rail line that has now opened in Lagos State, southwest part of Nigeria. Remember that, out of the capture budget, the red line is expected to also be working by the time, and that's the governor there, as we say. Sanwo-Olu and other ride as Lagos Blue Line Rail begins operation. The Lagos Rail Mass Transit Blue Line has begun its long-awaited commercial operation. According to the Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu also became the first passenger to ride on the train during its inaugural ride as operation began today. The governor boarded the train from Marina Terminal en route to Mile 12, and according to the managing director of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, Mrs. Abimbola said on Thursday that the Lagos Blue Rail Line will commence operation today, and that is exactly what has taken place. So we hope that will ease, the traffic on the road, where more people will be able to afford it as well. I'll take this one, and we hope that we might not be going into another strike tomorrow, as the state NLC and the TUC order workers to join the strike. Why is there a strike? Again, following the declaration of a 2-day warning strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress, some state chapters of the Organized Labour Union have expressed their readiness to join the industrial action. The leadership of the state chapter of the Labour Union said that tomorrow and Wednesday, Wednesday will be the judgment for. So it seems that this week might be a test of time for the government. And remember that the president himself is out of town, so we'll have to see how the president will be, getting the news while in India at the G20 for all these activities going on in Nigeria. Once again, this is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. The CBN federal government recorded 17 billion inflow as 1.4 trillion fiscal deficit in Q1. Demand and strong fundamental lift. Dangote Cement, MTN, Airtel, 8 others, market value at 28 trillion naira. Probe alleged loop side appointment in the Nimat APC chieftaincies urged the Senate. It's coming from the headline as well. And the last headline says, again, how the federal government, FRC, others will share 3.8 trillion stamp duty. Let's go now to what is trending on the social media this morning, the 4th day of September 2023. Calabar is trending. The 6th of September seems to be, the highest trend. Breaking news. We know that there's always different breaking news. And the reason why there's a breaking news trending in Nigeria, that has got to do with the Peter Obi, court case on the 6th. Nobody knows what is going to be the outcome. We can speculate from now to tomorrow, but we will all have to wait for what is going to happen. Dele Ogun at Dele Ogun Auto. See for yourselves the British colonial origins of the 419 and the bribery. Same way they will say we sold our people to them. The new generation must expunge all narratives from the colonial Confucianists from their brain. And it seems, in that African Association, Limited, 1887 to 1889. Let me just read a little bit out of that. And it says, in the following November, Honeyberg made his way to Nupe, where he told the emir that the company claimed to have taken over his kingdom. Naturally, the emir was outraged by such a suggestion and so summoned William Wallace to his presence for an explanation. This brought to light a major weakness in the basis for the chapter. For the emir alleged that he, like several other chiefs with their own treaties, had never really understood the full implication of the company's original treaty with Nupe. Wallace tried to explain the matter, but in the end could only pacify the man by raising his annual subsidy from £400 to £2,000. The emir then issued a statement with the Honeyberg witness saying that his country was an independent nation, that only he had an authority to levy taxes concerning wheat, and that was the free access for it to everyone. So again, as many of those that are campaigning of the self-determination continue to see how history that was removed from Nigeria has gone a lot of problems. There's a DSS release that is just coming up. DSS discover plot to stage violent protests in the country. It's not the first time that we are hearing this, but this is coming from Peter Afunaya, the Department of the State Service National Headquarters Public Relations Officer. This is a breaking news just an hour ago. The Department of the State Service hereby informs the public that it has uncovered plans by some element in part of the country to stage violent protests in order to discredit the federal government and the security agency over sundry social economic matters. According to intelligence report, I've indicated that the plotters include certain politicians who are desperately mobilizing unsuspected student leader, ethnic-based association, youth, and also disgruntled groups of the planned action. Meanwhile, the service has identified the ringleader of the plot as well as the sustained monitoring. I hope the ringleader have been taken into the custody, just as the DSS kidnapped many individuals across the country. So when they say that they have someone plotting this anarchy to plunge the country into anarchy, in the view of this development, the university vice chancellor and head of the tertiary institution are advised to discourage the students. Why the DSS are aware of the government effort? The question is, no name has been mentioned there. Remember that it was a very quick one when the intervention of criminal by the DSS and the Nigerian government to the Chief Sunday Igboho's house, and after the kidnap and rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, they are quick to bring their names out. But it seems those that wants to bring Nigeria into anarchy, we don't need to know their names. Star Radio UK, and it shows again the marginalization that so many people like ours have said, is this really a democracy? If you have the names, these are those that wants to discredit the government, then they should bring it out as quickly as possible. Igboho was not discrediting the government, he was only asking for one thing and one thing alone, the right to self-determination. The same thing that Nnamdi Kanu was doing until Buhari gave the go-ahead to kidnap him after some of his own followers sold him off in Kenya. He was tortured for 8 days, returned to Nigeria, and when they were presenting him, that presentation came in Hausa just to tell every other person that this country is controlled by some part of the other part of the country.
Well, listeners, quite an interesting one. I was trying to capture more of the story pertaining to the DSS warning that they've given and telling the universities, the chancellors.
And someone is asking, how come they don't uncover the Boko Haram plots?
Yeah, interesting, because they are looking at people who, because of what is going on, the difficulties, the challenges that they are going through, students who are in school and they can see that whatever their parents are struggling to pay their fees and everything, and think, now, we know when we're in here and stuff like that, we went on demonstration various times when we don't like whatever is going on and stuff like that. With this, I bet you, if you hear any university students going on demonstration, there'll be a calm down on all of them. They're not going to tell us anything more, but, well, it's Star Radio UK. Somebody also says, the Ogun State governors, celebrating of redesigning of letterheads, painting of tables and stuff like that. It's little things pleasing little minds. So it's little minded. That's why he's doing it. So I don't know. But listeners, it is Star Radio UK. I know that Yomi is going to go. But from the camp of Peter Obi, have there been any reaction to the tribunal's 6th of September verdict?
Well, I think Peter Obi is trying to play, that the good guy. Let me put it that way. So, we've seen him, try as much as possible to tell his followers to be calm and allow the judiciary, to perform the duty. And I'm just looking at, there hasn't been any press statement from his handle as of today. But I'm sure many Nigerians are looking for, if on the 6th is going to be the outcome of the proceeding, that is 48 hours from now. It's not about prayers anymore now. It's about the delivery from the judges that have looked at all sides and will determine the fate between Peter Obi and Tinubu. Then we'll have to wait for the one between Atiku and Tinubu. And that would then determine what Nigerians, and maybe this is what the DSS is picking up on. I don't have a clue. But again, like we said, is a country where the DSS are quick to bring those innocent people names out. But they've got information of these individuals or groups of people, and it seems that their names are now being shielded like something that needs not to be known by many Nigerians. Imagine if such is happening here, we'll probably have known.
Of course.
Grace Olusoto says they didn't allow the reporters and the media to do their job in Nigeria. Nigeria is not working for anyone. We all need to get out of this country called Nigeria. Come, let's get it now out as quickly as possible. As many are following the case happening in Ilorin, where again media has been gagged, and it seems again, if media are not allowed to do their job, then we've lost the first part of any country around the globe.
Yeah, of course. When you talk about democracy, the media is the fourth hand. And if they are not allowed to be there whilst things are going on to tell us what exactly is going on, and whatever information is what they want to tell us, then we are in trouble. Anthony Adedeji, yes, good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. Yomi, before we go.
Well, we'll be back, tomorrow. And yes, the news of the Presidential Election Tribunal to deliver the judgment is quite right. And yes, Wednesday will be exactly the delivery. I'll be back same time tomorrow. But for now, Archie takes you through the rest of the program. My name is Olami Koiki, and this is the 4th day of September as we continue the preparation for the outcome of the election tribunal that every Nigerians have waited for after the 25th of February of that same election that many says it hasn't gone in accordance.
Well, Yomi, let me say thank you very much for that wonderful update. Well, listeners, he's going to be coming your way tomorrow, God willing, with another edition of the Update from Nigeria. Now, you have any comments or anything, feel free, post it to on our pages, and I'm going to read it. But let me announce the lines open before I bring you this music from Jeanette. It said, Oleredemi, okay?
And it is time that we let it go. Nigeria is a crime scene. And anything that is a crime scene is a crime scene. There's nothing more than that. It doesn't matter the love that you have for Nigeria. I've told you so many times, Nigeria do not have the same love for you. So if you're still one of those that believe in Nigeria, I say good luck to you and as many of you that believe in that contraction. I am not one of you that believe in that messed up country. And if you think that, some of us will leave our beautiful comfort zone and come and stay in that contraction, when some of you are trying to run away, you are living in denial. So, Maparawa, later, I got to go now so that I can do one or two things, especially, it's a Monday, and we'll come up and do more programs, especially there's still a lot to talk about. As Tinubu is heading to India, what can we learn from whatever trip that Tinubu is going for, G20. Many Nigerians are living in India,
And I'm sure Abike Dabiri will have organized one or two of them to come and greet Tinubu when he arrived in India. Well, let him enjoy as the president for now. Have a very good morning. Bye for now.